Welcome back to my channel. Today, we step into the moment where decades of promises, tears, and hidden betrayals finally collapse. The day Kody Brown is dragged into a courtroom, stripped of cameras, stripped of excuses, and forced to face the women he never believed would unite against him: Christine, Janelle, and Meri. What began as a simple civil dispute over the ownership and sale of Coyote Pass quickly twisted into a brutal legal war. Within hours, the case exposed forged signatures, secret bank transfers, and a shocking betrayal that pointed directly at Robyn Brown. Courtroom 6B felt colder than a desert winter. The harsh lights reflected off the brass and mahogany, making the room feel less like a courtroom and more like a confession chamber, a place where lies finally die. Christine Brown rose from her seat slowly, her heels clicking like quiet thunder against the marble. This time, cameras weren't following her for drama, gossip, or ratings. This wasn't a TLC reunion. This was justice. She stepped to the witness stand, placed her trembling hand on the Bible, and lifted her chin. "Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth?" "I do," she said, clear, steady, stronger than she'd sounded in years. Christine did not look at Kody. She couldn't. If she did, memories might flood back. The porch nights, the forced smiles, the whispered promises he made while pointing toward Coyote Pass. "That's where we'll build, Christine. Our future is right there." Those promises were nothing but smoke. Judge Ramirez nodded. "Ms. Brown, you may begin your testimony." Christine opened a worn folder. "For over 25 years, I was spiritually married to Kody Brown. I raised our children. I supported his dreams. I believed him." Her voice cracked for only a moment. "And for years, Kody lied to every one of us." She lifted the first sheet, Exhibit A, an aerial map of Coyote Pass. "This is the land Kody promised would be our legacy," she said. He drew this layout himself in 2021 at Robyn's kitchen table. A quiet ripple moved across the courtroom. The prosecution attorney leaned forward. "Are you saying Mr. Brown swore that each wife would receive a share of Coyote Pass?" Christine nodded. "Not once. Not twice. Over and over." Then she pulled out something heavier, Exhibit B, a notarized property deed, dated 6 months after she left. Judge Ramirez examined it, his expression tightening. "This deed transfers full ownership of Coyote Pass into a private trust, controlled by one individual." "Yes, Your Honor," Christine said. "A trust controlled solely by Robyn Brown." Gasps shattered the silence. Reporters, fans, even estranged family members leaned forward as marshals demanded quiet. Christine continued. "While Kody assured us, in texts, in family meetings, that nothing had changed, he was secretly transferring everything behind our backs." She lifted Exhibit C, printed screenshots of the family group chat. She read Kody's messages aloud. "Don't worry about Coyote Pass. You'll get your share when the time is right. I'm just simplifying things. You don't trust me?" "That," Christine said, "is what he wrote while removing every one of us from the land." Kody leaned toward his attorney, whispering in panic, but Christine kept going. "Whenever we tried to ask for our portion, he blocked it. He said the land wasn't ready. He said we weren't emotionally aligned." Judge Ramirez raised an eyebrow. "Emotionally aligned?" Christine nodded. "That's what he says when he wants control. Emotionally aligned means do what I want." The judge tapped his gavel. "Let the record show Ms. Brown has provided substantial evidence of property misrepresentation and breach of verbal agreement." He turned to Kody's lawyer. "You may begin cross-examination." The attorney stood, calm, sharp, prepared, and the entire courtroom held its breath. "Miss Brown," the defense attorney said, pacing slowly, "isn't it true that at the time of this trust transfer, you were no longer legally married to Mr. Brown?" Christine didn't blink. "Correct. But I was still a co-owner of the family fund that purchased that land. My name is on the original transaction." The attorney nodded sharply. "And isn't it also true that Robyn Brown was the only wife legally married to Mr. Brown during the creation of the trust?" Christine inhaled once. "Yes." But being the legal wife doesn't give you the right to steal from the others. A stunned gasp shot across the gallery. The attorney stiffened. Steal? Yes, Christine said plainly. Because what you're not saying is that Kody never told Robyn about the trust until months after he created it. Silence crashed through the courtroom. Christine continued, her voice cutting like glass. I spoke to her. She was shocked. This wasn't about marriage. This wasn't about love. This was about power. The room erupted. Murmurs, whispers, shock. A marshal moved to quiet the gallery. Christine finally turned toward the crowd. We weren't just his wives. We were his business partners. We invested. We raised children. We sacrificed. He told us Coyote Pass would secure our futures. She lifted her hand and pointed directly at Kody, now bright red and sweating. And instead, he gave it all away behind our backs. Judge Ramirez closed the folder in front of him. Court is adjourned for recess. We will reconvene to hear testimony from the financial expert assigned to review the trust records. Christine stepped down, lighter, freer, walking past Kody without a glance. His jaw trembled. For the first time in years, her truth was louder than his lies. But the storm wasn't over. It was only beginning. The financial forensics bomb when court resumed. The entire gallery turned as the next witness walked in, a woman in a navy blazer, glasses, and unshakable calm. Melissa Crane, certified financial forensics examiner. This was no longer family drama. This was financial war. Kody stiffened. Robyn shrunk into her seat. Janelle gripped her pen so tightly her knuckles whitened. Miss Crane, the judge began, you were granted access to the Browns' joint accounts, the Coyote Pass records, and the trust documents. What did you find? Crane opened her binder. Between January 2020 and September 2023, approximately $732,491 was withdrawn from the family's shared investment fund, the fund intended for building and maintaining homes on Coyote Pass. A ripple of shock spread. Of that amount, Crane continued, $614,000 was transferred through personal checks and wire transfers into an account registered solely under Robyn Sullivan Brown. She set a thick file down. The remaining $118,491 was withdrawn in cash over 27 ATM transactions. This wasn't sloppy bookkeeping. This was a pattern. And the trail pointed to one person. The prosecutor rose. Miss Crane, can you confirm that none of the other spouses, Christine, Janelle, or Meri, had access to that account? Yes, Crane said. Only Robyn was listed as account holder and beneficiary. The account was opened 1 month before the trust was filed. Gasps again. Christine's jaw dropped. Meri's eyes narrowed. Janelle's pen fell from her hand entirely. Robyn clutched her purse like a bomb might go off inside. Objection, the defense shouted. The implication overruled. Judge Ramirez snapped. The witness is presenting subpoenaed evidence. The prosecutor leaned forward. Miss Crane, what reason did Mr. Brown list for these withdrawals? Crane flipped pages. Memo lines included vague notes such as family needs, construction planning, winter emergency, and several that simply read CP Prep, presumably Coyote Pass. The judge's expression darkened. Were any construction permits filed during this time? No, Your Honor. None. The courtroom froze. So, the judge said, removing his glasses, Mr. Brown withdrew more than $600,000 from the joint family fund for construction that never happened. Correct. And redirected the money into an account no other wives knew existed. Yes. Kody shot to his feet. Your Honor, I need to. His attorney yanked him down. The judge slammed his gavel. You speak again without permission, and I will hold you in contempt. Kody collapsed into his chair. The gallery buzzed like a hive of hornets. Suddenly, Janelle stood. Your Honor, she said, voice breaking, may I speak? The judge hesitated, then nodded. You may be sworn in. Janelle approached the stand with fire in her eyes. This was the Janelle the world rarely saw, the one pushed too far. I helped manage that family account, she said, her voice tight with rage. I paid bills from it. I bought groceries with it. That money was supposed to protect our kids' futures, not fund a hidden account for Robyn's dream house. The prosecutor asked gently, "Did you authorize any of the transfers Miss Crane identified?" Janelle's answer cut through the courtroom like a blade. "Never." Janelle's voice trembled, but her resolve didn't. "He never asked." "Not once," she said, staring straight ahead. "Kody told us we were tight on cash, that we couldn't build yet, that the timing wasn't right." Then, quietly, devastatingly, she reached into her bag and pulled out a printed bank statement. "Meanwhile," she said, lifting the paper for the court to see, Robyn's account had over $500,000 sitting untouched. The reaction was instant. Robyn's jaw hardened. Meri's face drained of color. Christine shut her eyes as if bracing for impact. And just when the courtroom managed to settle, Janelle delivered the line that scorched the earth. "That money," she said, her voice breaking, "was from my 401k. I cashed it out to help buy Coyote Pass. Kody told me it was temporary. He said once we built, I'd get it back." For the first time since the trial began, she looked at him. "I lost my retirement, Kody. You promised me safety, and you gave Robyn a throne." The room froze solid. Even the judge had to clear his throat before speaking. "This court recognizes the emotional weight of this testimony," he said. "We will allow Miss Crane to finish her financial report before adjournment." Crane returned to the stand, opening another folder. "In addition to the transferred funds," she said, "I uncovered a series of life insurance documents, revised within the same time frame." The prosecutor leaned forward. "What kind of revisions?" Crane hesitated only long enough to choose her words carefully. Kody Brown removed multiple former beneficiaries and replaced them with Robyn Brown and her 2 youngest children. A wave of shock swept the room. "On one of the policies," she continued, "he listed the purpose as estate preservation." The judge leaned back slowly, absorbing every syllable. "Thank you, Miss Crane," he said. "That will be all for now." The prosecution sat. The judge scanned the courtroom. "This court will reconvene tomorrow. Robyn Brown is now formally requested to appear on the witness stand. Additionally, a handwriting expert is required to examine the contested trust documents submitted by Mr. Brown." He paused, then delivered another blow. "I am issuing a preliminary injunction. No financial activity may occur on any accounts tied to the Brown Family Trust until this case concludes." Gavel down. Court adjourned. But no one stood. No one could. Because the next chapter was Robyn. Janelle walked past Kody without even glancing at him. Christine brushed her shoulder softly. Meri wept silently, shaking her head in disbelief. Kody stayed seated, eyes closed, as if the world had finally caught up to him. Robyn turned to her attorney and whispered, trembling, "I didn't know it was all in my name. I swear." But the forensic trail didn't lie. And tomorrow, the handwriting expert would reveal whether Kody's signature on the trust was real or forged. Day 3. Tensions so thick it almost steamed off the walls. Word had spread like wildfire. The trust was only the beginning. Rumors swirled about something even darker. Something written. Something Robyn alone claimed existed. A will. A will that could rewrite everything. The gallery filled before dawn. Fans, reporters, neighbors, distant relatives. Cameras buzzed outside, pressing against the windows like insects desperate for a glimpse. Inside, the air felt heavy. Robyn entered last. Her heels clicked nervously across the floor. She wore dark navy, modest, subdued. But her face, pale, sleepless, terrified, said everything. She carried a document in trembling hands. "All rise," the judge commanded. Everyone stood. "Today," he announced, "we will hear testimony from Mrs. Robyn Brown and examine a purported will attributed to Mr. Kody Brown." He nodded to the prosecution. "Mrs. Brown," the prosecutor said, "please step forward." Robyn approached the stand like she was walking toward a cliff's edge. She took the oath, sat, and held the document like it was both her shield and her curse. "Mrs. Brown," the prosecutor began, voice sharp but calm, "what document have you brought today?" Robyn swallowed hard. It's Kody's final will. Or, I mean, a draft of it. A draft? The prosecutor echoed. Under oath, you previously stated this was his will. Not a draft. Robyn's fingers tightened. It's both. I don't know. He gave it to me during a hard time. He told me to keep it safe. Did the other wives know about this will? Robyn shook her head. They didn't need to. It wasn't finished. The prosecutor stepped closer. But you kept it, and presented it to this court as if it were the formal, binding version. Robyn blinked rapidly, tears forming. I didn't mean it like that, but the real shock wasn't the document itself, it was what was inside. The prosecutor lifted the will and held it up. Your Honor, she said, voice echoing across the silent room, this will states that upon Mr. Brown's death or incapacitation, all family assets, including Coyote Pass, all bank accounts, and all life insurance funds are to be transferred to Mrs. Robyn Brown for her sole discretion. Gasps. Hands covering mouths. The judge's eyebrows shot up. And furthermore, the prosecutor continued, the will states that Christine, Janelle, and Meri Brown are entitled to nothing. Not a dollar. Not a parcel. Not even personal belongings. Christine's jaw dropped. Meri's face crumpled. Janelle's eyes burned with fury. Robyn lowered her head. That's not, she whispered. It wasn't supposed to be like that. I never asked for it. He gave it to me. I just kept it. But the prosecutor wasn't finished. And what she said next would turn the entire courtroom on its head. Robyn swallowed hard. It's Kody's final will. Or, I mean, a draft of it. A draft? The prosecutor echoed. Under oath, you previously stated this was his will. Not a draft. Robyn's fingers tightened. It's both. I don't know. He gave it to me during a hard time. He told me to keep it safe. Did the other wives know about this will? Robyn shook her head. They didn't need to. It wasn't finished. The prosecutor stepped closer. But you kept it, and presented it to this court as if it were the formal, binding version. Robyn blinked rapidly, tears forming. I didn't mean it like that, but the real shock wasn't the document itself, it was what was inside. The prosecutor lifted the will and held it up. Your Honor, she said, voice echoing across the silent room, this will states that upon Mr. Brown's death or incapacitation, all family assets, including Coyote Pass, all bank accounts, and all life insurance funds are to be transferred to Mrs. Robyn Brown for her sole discretion. Gasps. Hands covering mouths. The judge's eyebrows shot up. And furthermore, the prosecutor continued, the will states that Christine, Janelle, and Meri Brown are entitled to nothing. Not a dollar. Not a parcel. Not even personal belongings. Christine's jaw dropped. Meri's face crumpled. Janelle's eyes burned with fury. Robyn lowered her head. That's not, she whispered. It wasn't supposed to be like that. I never asked for it. He gave it to me. I just kept it. But the prosecutor wasn't finished. And what she said next would turn the entire courtroom on its head. The prosecutor leaned in, her voice sharpened to a needlepoint. Mrs. Brown, do you know when this document was drafted? Robyn swallowed hard. Not exactly. Maybe early 2022. Or late 2021. A time, the prosecutor noted, when Mr. Brown was separating from Christine. Robyn wiped her trembling hands across her face. He was going through a lot. He didn't trust anyone. Not even, she stopped. The courtroom leaned in. Not even who, Mrs. Brown? Robyn closed her eyes. Not even himself. A whisper, but it hit the room like thunder. He was scared the family was falling apart, she added. He said, I was the only one who still believed in him. A murmur rolled through the courtroom like a rising storm. But belief isn't evidence. And signatures don't lie. The prosecutor turned to the judge. Your Honor, the state requests the handwriting expert take the stand. The judge nodded. Then the room shifted as a tall man in a gray suit entered, steady stride, black case in hand, comparison charts tucked under his arm. Dr. Reed Holston, forensic handwriting analyst, 23 years of experience. He took the oath, sat, and the prosecutor handed him the will. Dr. Holston, did you conduct a handwriting analysis of this document? Yes, I did. And your findings? Holston opened his case and pulled out laminated sheets, magnified signatures, pressure maps, stroke patterns, every detail enlarged. He pointed to the comparison charts. The signature on this will does not match Mr. Brown's authenticated signatures from 2017 through 2023. The room held its breath. It differs significantly in pressure pattern, angle, slant, letter connection, and stroke rhythm. Kody paled. Robyn's breath hitched. So, the prosecutor asked carefully, are you saying Mr. Brown did not sign this document? Holston raised a brow. I'm saying that, based on all available evidence, the signature on this will is forged. The courtroom erupted. Gasps. Shouts. Chairs scraping. A marshal had to shout for silence. Robyn covered her mouth, sobbing. Kody slammed his hand on the table. His attorney grabbed his arm before he could speak. Christine whispered, "Oh my God." Janelle turned away. Meri shut her eyes, pained. But Holston wasn't done. Furthermore, he continued, the signature appears to imitate one of Mr. Brown's older signatures from nearly a decade ago. The courtroom reacted again, another wave of disbelief. This pattern, Holston explained, is common in forgeries made by individuals referencing old documents. The prosecutor nodded sharply. Your Honor, the state moves to submit this will as fraudulent evidence. The judge frowned, heavy and deep. Mrs. Brown, he said, do you have any explanation? Robyn wept openly. I didn't forge anything. I didn't. He gave it to me sealed, in an envelope. Told me to keep it. I didn't open it until he said we needed a backup plan. A backup plan for what? The prosecutor pressed. Robyn hesitated, then whispered. He thought the other wives were going to turn on him. Christine's face twisted, devastated. Meri looked stunned. Janelle whispered, wow. Just wow. The prosecutor moved closer. Mrs. Brown, did you ever ask why the other wives were cut out entirely? Robyn nodded through tears. He told me they were already gone, that they didn't want the family anymore. Christine slammed her hand on the bench. That's a lie. He pushed us away. Gavel slammed. Order. Robyn sobbed softly, shoulders shaking. The prosecutor inhaled slowly. Mrs. Brown, did you ever tell the others about this will? No. No, I didn't want to hurt them. I thought he'd change it. Then why, the prosecutor said, icy and precise, did you bring it to court and present it as if it were official? Robyn froze. And in that silence, the truth answered for her. She brought it because she thought it gave her power. And now that power was dissolving like ash. But the day wasn't done, because now it was Meri's turn. The judge turned toward the prosecution. Call your next witness. The state calls Meri Brown. A hush fell across the room. Meri stood slowly, moving with a poise no one had seen in years. Not broken, not timid, but steady, strong, ready. She took the oath and sat, hands folded neatly in her lap. Meri, the prosecutor asked gently, were you ever aware of old drafted by Mr. Brown? Yes, Meri said without a moment's hesitation. But not that one. Robyn's head jerked up. What do you mean? The prosecutor asked. Meri reached into her bag and pulled out a worn, folded piece of paper. Something older. Something hidden. Something Kody never expected to surface. I will now begin the rewrite. Because the text you sent is extremely long, I will rewrite it in one cohesive, polished, dramatic narrative with smooth pacing and powerful emotional beats, perfect for a YouTube video. Here is your rewritten dramatic monologue. Welcome back to my channel. Today, we enter the most explosive moment of the entire Brown family saga, the moment when a single folded document, placed on a witness stand by Meri Brown herself, flips the entire trial upside down and forces the judge, the jury, and even the Brown family to confront the truth they spent years avoiding. Meri placed the worn paper gently on the stand, her voice steady but heavy with memory. This, she said, is the document Kody signed in 2019. We were all there. Me, Janelle, Christine, even Robyn. The courtroom froze. The prosecutor lifted the fragile page like it was sacred. And what does this document declare? Meri didn't hesitate. Her voice did not waver. That every property purchased through the family fund, including Coyote Pass, would be divided evenly among all the wives and all the children, regardless of divorce, regardless of separation, regardless of legal status. A ripple shot across the room. Robyn's eyes widened. That's not what I saw. Meri turned her head, a slow, deliberate motion.
No.
Because what you saw was something created later. Something made without us. Something Kody never told us existed. Christine gripped the armrest until her knuckles turned white. Janelle nodded, jaw clenched in recognition. Kody stared ahead, an unreadable mask cracking around the edges. The prosecutor stepped closer. Mrs. Brown, did you witness Kody sign this? Yes. Did he seem coerced?
No.
Did he ever revoke this agreement?
No.
Then the question that hung over every woman in that courtroom. Did you ever see the will presented by Robyn today? Meri looked directly at Robyn.
Never.
Not once in my life. Robyn broke.
Aqui é sob.
A hand over her mouth. But Meri wasn't finished. She inhaled sharply, steadying her voice, and then delivered the line that silenced the entire courtroom. I don't believe Robyn forged that signature. But I believe she accepted a role Kody created for her, a role that required her to ignore us, replace us, and pretend we were already gone. Robyn shook, tears sliding down her cheeks. The courtroom didn't move. Even the cameras seemed to stop breathing. Meri's voice cracked as she finished. This trial is happening because every one of us trusted a man who divided us, lied to us, and used us. Silence.
Heavy.
Sacred. The judge paused, for the first time in 2 days, before quietly announcing recess. But this wasn't over. The children take the stand, and the truth erupts when the doors opened again. It wasn't a wife or a lawyer walking in. It was Michael T. Brown Padron. A daughter. A witness. A brown child with nothing left to lose. She took the stand with the quiet strength of someone who had spent years swallowing truths that never belonged in a child's mouth. Michael T., the prosecutor said, you're testifying voluntarily.
Why?
Michael T. looked at her father, then at the judge, then at the jury. Because someone has to tell the truth. And the kids, we've stayed quiet long enough. She pulled out a voice recorder. This is from February 2023. Kody's lawyer shot up. Objection. We'll hear the tape, the judge ordered. Michael T. pressed play. Kody's voice filled the courtroom, sharp, unmistakable, devastating. You and your mom were never supposed to get that land. I promised it to Robyn's kids years ago. I only told the others what they needed to hear, so they wouldn't leave. Gasps tore through the room. Christine sobbed. Janelle closed her eyes. Meri whispered, "Oh my God." And then, from the back row, Garrison Brown stood up. "I'd like to testify too, Your Honor." Within minutes, he was sworn in. He sat like a soldier. "I have a voicemail," he said. "From the day I moved out." He played it. Kody's voice again, cold, clipped, emotionless. "You've chosen your path. I'm not your safety net anymore. Robyn's boys are still my responsibility."
"Not you."
Janelle broke into silent tears. Christine stared in disbelief. Robyn covered her mouth. Garrison continued, voice firm. "He cut me out because I stood up for my mom. Because we lived in trailers while Robyn's house got new floors, new cars, new everything." Then the line that shattered the courtroom. He said the rest of us were liabilities. Even the judge leaned back, shaken. That was the moment the court took control, a temporary guardianship. Independent oversight. A freeze on accounts. And then the question that sealed Kody's fate. "Do you believe your father deceived the family?" Michael T. and Garrison answered together. "Yes." The judge looked straight at Kody. "Mr. Brown, this court is considering perjury charges. If you wish to explain yourself, this is your moment." Kody stood, broken, unraveled. "I never meant to hurt anyone," he whispered. "I was trying to protect what little I had left." Michael T. rose. You heard us. For years. You just didn't care. Garrison stood with her.
No, Dad.
You didn't want unity. You wanted control. One by one, Christine, Janelle, and Meri stood behind them. The Brown family, once a sprawling empire, now stood as a united wall against Kody. Robyn's secret, the final blow just when the courtroom thought the storm was ending. A quiet voice whispered, "Your Honor." Robyn Brown stood up, her hands trembling, her eyes red, her purse rustling softly as she pulled out a sealed envelope. "I have one more piece of evidence." The courtroom froze. She handed it to the judge. A property deed, filed just 3 weeks earlier. It transferred half an acre of Coyote Pass to Robyn. Christine shot up. "That was our parcel." Robyn shook her head, crying. "I didn't know. Kody said it was new land. I didn't know it came from you." The judge narrowed his eyes. "You didn't disclose this?" Robyn's voice broke. "Because I didn't want to be the villain. But I am done hiding. I don't want the land if it means stealing from them." The confession detonated like a bomb. The final verdict, the judge took a long breath, then delivered the ruling that ended the Brown era forever. The Sullivan Trust is dissolved. Coyote Pass must be sold entirely. The proceeds split equally among the 4 wives. Kody is barred from managing any family funds ever again. A fraud investigation into the forged signatures is officially launched. A single gavel strike ended Kody Brown's power. He stood slowly. "I didn't want this," he whispered. Janelle answered. "You didn't want consequences." Christine stepped forward. "You let us rot." Meri's voice followed. "We gave you everything. You gave us dust." Then came the moment no one expected. Robyn approached Kody, placed the trust document, now void, into his hands. "I loved you," she whispered, "but I won't carry your sins anymore." And she walked toward the 3 women who had once been her sister wives. They didn't hug. They didn't smile. But they let her stand with them. The courtroom doors opened. The 4 women left together in the same SUV. Minutes later, Kody Brown walked out alone. No cameras followed. No fans cheered. For the first time in his life, he wasn't a patriarch.
He was just Kody.
And Coyote Pass?
It was never about land.
It was about loyalty.
About lies.
About the years of silence finally breaking. Maybe, just maybe, this judgment wasn't the end. Maybe it was the first breath of freedom.